Hi there, this is Eric Wall, CEO of Equivity, and today I want to talk about 5 must-haves for the work-from-home lawyer. We've been working with a lot of attorneys who have set up shop at their homes, and we've been addressing a lot of questions that they have, and we've also noticed that there are some questions that they're not asking that they should. So let's dive into it. So here are some questions that our attorneys have been asking. One is, how do I securely transfer information to the cloud to share it? Another is, how do I communicate how I want things done to my paralegals? And how do I make sure that my staff is working when we're not in the same office? So those are the questions they're asking. I'm also going to talk about some things that attorneys should be thinking about. So let's talk about our first must-have, which is a task management system. So why should you have a task management system, and what is it? A task management system works like a checklist, flowchart, or task board, but it's obviously provided by some app. And it's useful for effectively coordinating with remotely working staff to ensure that projects don't fall through the cracks. This tends to work much better than email, which, while most attorneys are comfortable with it, often leads to tasks being lost because they're somewhere down in the thread. And a lot of law offices do have standard operating procedures in place, but that's not a replacement for a task management system. They come before and they instruct how your staff should be performing certain tasks. But in order to verify that things are getting done as the standard operating procedures dictate, it's important that you utilize task management systems. So there are a lot of them out there, and which ones should you use? And it really depends on a number of factors. One factor is you may want to use the software that you've already invested in. So for example, if you've already invested in a practice management system like Clio, they have a task list feature. And so you might just want to make use of that if you've been using Clio for many aspects of your practice, but you haven't used that. Another way you might want to make this decision is based upon your preferences in terms of how you work best. So if you're a very visual person, a task board system like Asana might be best for you. And another way to think about it might be what your clients use. So if you work with a lot of clients who use Slack internally, it might make a lot of sense for you to utilize that internally, and that will allow you to better coordinate, not just internally, but externally with them. Another must-have for attorneys working from home are a secure client portal. So what is a secure client portal? It's a way for clients to upload and receive documents securely. And it typically involves transmitting information using SSL protocol. And you can determine when that's happening by the little lock icon that's typically at the top of the at the top of the screen for most web browsers. So why is it important? Because you're probably transmitting a lot of information that's confidential or privileged, and so are your clients. And certain states, in fact, make it illegal to transfer personal identifying information via a non-encrypted medium like email. So you want to make sure that there's a way for your clients to get you that information that is in accordance with the law. And finally, there are the professional responsibilities. Rule 5.3 of the Model Rules of Professional Responsibility state that attorneys should take reasonable steps as a precautionary measure to protect against disclosure of a client's confidential information. So how do you get a secure client portal? So one is you can utilize sort of an off-the-shelf version of this. Examples include Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive, and that allows you to you to invite clients to upload files to a folder that only they can access, and the people you designate at your firm. Practice management software also often has this functionality where if the practice management software is used to manage your documents anyway, clients can be sent a link where they can upload their files directly to the practice management software. And then finally, if this is something you need integrated with your website, you might want to talk to a web developer to provide a custom web portal that integrates with that website. All right. Must-have number 3 is an incident response plan. And this is something that a lot of our attorneys actually don't talk about, but it's super important. So what is an incident response plan? It's a playbook for responding to a breach of data security, like a hack or something like that. And why do you need one? It's because many firms don't have the internal resources to deal with a data breach. And as it turns out, law firms really need to be able to identify the scope of breaches quickly and respond to them very quickly. So what do you need to respond to a data breach? First, you need a certified IT support professional, and that person is going to be able to assist with a breach. So for example, if you find out that someone, that as a result of a phishing scheme, for example, an unknown outsider has been accessing your system, you need to figure out what the scope of that access has been. You're going to need a certified IT support specialist to figure that out. You're also going to need an attorney that specializes in data breaches in order to respond to be in compliance with the various laws that require reporting of such breaches. And to go into greater detail about that, almost every state has laws requiring any business, not just law firms, to notify clients of regulatory authorities about the breach of the personal information. And so, for example, in California, where Equivity is based, a person or business that maintains computerized data that includes personal information that the person or business does not own shall notify the owner or licensee of the information of the breach of the security of the data immediately following discovery, if the personal information was or is reasonably believed to have been acquired by an unauthorized person. So that's California Civil Code 1798.82b. Those are quite those are quite stringent requirements that need to be complied with. And you may also, as part of remediation in the case of a breach, be required to provide identity monitoring for your clients for identity theft. So where can you obtain an incident response plan? Your insurance company is a good place to start. They may have a template. However, you can't just go on the template. You need to identify those outside resources we've talked about first to make sure that not only do you have the plan in place, but you know who is going to be implementing that plan. Must-have number 4 is a cybersecurity policy. So what is a cybersecurity policy? It's an insurance policy that covers certain incidents of data breach, right? So we talked about hacking and a practical plan for handling that. But you should be insured because to cover the costs of a breach if that happens. So in addition to covering those costs, it provides you with immediate access to specialized counsel who can assist in complying with the appropriate state laws. So this effectively checks off one of those boxes we were just talking about with respect to having an incident response plan. And just in terms of how you get one, most major carriers are going to carry one. So I'm sure you already have an errors and omissions policy. Make sure that in addition to errors and omissions, you're getting a cybersecurity policy as well. Must-have number 5 is shared expectations for staff and availability. So, right, members of your team have likely been impacted by COVID in various ways, and many of your workers are taking on domestic responsibilities. And a lot of your staff members are probably trying to muddle through. As I record this, school is starting up again in a very simple way, is that parents are once again having to manage both their professional obligations and educating their children as well as their personal obligations. So if staff members are actually less available than you expect, work may not be getting done at the rate that you anticipated. So, and the staff members may simply not be capable of being as engaged as they previously were during a work day, when once they came into the office, you pretty much had their attention the whole time. So the best way to handle this is to bring those availability issues out into the open. So listen to your employees and learn the challenges they face. Don't have them sweep these sort of things under the rug. Encourage people to come forward, and if they're not available for the whole business day, they should tell you, and they should tell you when they're not going to be available and the challenges they face getting back to you. Based on that information, you should express to them what your expectations are in terms of them coming to you. But it's also important to then monitor their performance, right? You want to make sure that even if the expectations are reduced, that your employees or workers are meeting the reduced expectations. So how do you monitor performance? This links back to that task management software we were talking about earlier. Having a list and making sure that items are being checked off on a daily or weekly basis is going to be very important and will really help you. And if actions, if work isn't getting done in the manner that you're anticipating, one solution is to potentially get extra support for the duration of the lockdown or temporary support as needed. The reality may be that even though you have the same employees as before, they're simply not as available. And because we don't know how long these unusual conditions are going to persist for, it may be wiser to bring on temporary assistance rather than hiring additional capacity. So thanks very much for listening. I greatly appreciate it. Again, my name is Eric Wall. I'm the CEO of Equivity. We provide paralegal, administrative, and marketing virtual assistance services to law firms and other businesses. Here's my contact information. I hope you found this helpful. Thanks so much.